Before I had words for it, my body already knew something was off. The headaches, the stomach clenching, the shortness of breath before I had to show up like I was fine. I used to think I was anxious or tired or overreacting. But really, my body was screaming for a truth that my mind was trained to ignore. Now, you know what? I know better, okay? I know better. My work is about listening before it's too late. My body is not dramatic. It's divine. It's an oracle. And so is yours. So today, my name is Lalini. I'm a quantum healing expert. And I want to go ahead and start this where this is the beginning of it, right? Sharing my story. Really sharing what in the world happened to me. And letting people know that, okay, this is really something that I've lived through. And this is something that I feel I can share with you guys today. So, let me tell you a story of a girl. Just kidding. I was going to do the Brady Bunch, but then I didn't remember the words. Yeah. So, I'll tell you a story. You know, as a kid, you never think of these things happening to you. Just this 4-year-old girl looking to experience the world. And I remember my earliest memory is of wanting to teleport. And I was so mad at my mom because I wanted to go to my aunt's house. Now, more on that later, because you're like, what? Yeah, that's exactly what I attempted to do. And I realized as I've gone through like my adolescent phase and the things that have happened with me, my story is no different from yours. My story is only an echo and a mirror of what's happening out there to us, or what we've experienced as a generation or generations before and after, what's to come by what we're doing now, right? I can see my 15-year-old self right now saying, what in the world? What do I do? What do I do? I want you guys to borrow my eyes for a second, even if you have to close them, and just sit with that space. A 15-year-old girl who's gone through a huge identity crisis. Body is shaping. And I'm like, I'm not okay with this. And also dealing with boys, dealing with school, but also dealing with the personal life at home, dealing with family dynamics. All of those things put pressure on who I am to become. As the oldest, I was always told that your sisters are always going to look up to you. And I hated it. I hated that. I'm like, no, I don't want this. I was pressured into being something that I did not want to be. I remember a conversation that I had, and it was said, what do you want to be when you grow up? And I said, I want to be an archaeologist, because at that time I was so obsessed with Egypt, still today. Anywho, and I remember it saying, no, if you're not a doctor or a lawyer, I'm not helping you. And I was like, you know what? I don't need it. My 9-year-old self was saying this. And I didn't realize that I had such conviction. Pay attention. Understand. Take this note. We had so much conviction then. Can you remember a time where you were able to say yes or no, and you were confident about it right then and there? Can you remember at that age what you were doing, how you were like, no, I want this, and no, I want that? Such conviction in our words. What stripped that part away? What made us succumb to the worlds of society to say, okay, I can be this, but in order to do this, I have to do this first? It strips you of your dreams. It strips you of your ability to create, your ability to see, your ability to imagine. And I realized with certain incidents that happened to me, and we'll go into those later, it shapes you and who you are. And what I found with, with my clientele, these things are very apparent today. So I remember when I was 18, I was dating this guy, still dating him. I was like my high school sweetheart. And I was like, oh my God, I found this opportunity and, I want to go for it. We're going to be able to travel the world, see different things. I'm going to be working and it's going to be great. He immediately shot me down and said, no. Have you guys ever experienced something like that where you were so super duper excited and then all of a sudden there's a big no? I was like, ah! It killed me. But at that moment, I said to myself, okay, maybe he's right. And I left it alone. I left it alone and I carry on with my married life. I allowed my emotions to take me somewhere else where I did not want to be. I allowed myself to succumb to peer pressure in all facets. And when I met my children's father, I was already so far off of where I needed to be. I didn't even realize that that was something that would come back later on. Meeting him, there's a whole story there, so we'll get to that later. Let's stay light today. Meeting him was a big experience, and he gave me 2 children, a boy and a girl, born in the same year, my little Irish twins, and I'm wearing her shirt today. Little goddess. She was absolutely amazing being born. My son, absolutely amazing being born. I never knew that my heart could open up so much after having children. I'm sure you women can relate to this, that when you have them, even if, however, and you hold them, however they came to you and you know that they're yours and you hold them, it's another feeling out of this world. And I knew that I had to become better. I knew that I had to become more, even though I was scared. Who's ready to be a mom? Who's ready to be a mom of 2 under a year? So that was definitely detrimental for me, and I was so embarrassed by it. But I knew that my children, a boy and a girl, life said, this is it, that's it, you're done. That's what I thought. At least that's how I took it, and I still take it to this day. So anyhow, my babies are everything to me. And I remember, just to make ends meet, I was selling, I was going door to door, I was the canvasser, I was the one that was like, hey, this is me, blah, 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 blah. And I had to get good. I had to get real good, and I had to get good fast because the environment was not great. I had to learn from my previous mistakes fast and adapt fast and be able to speak to people in a way where I could get into their house within 5 minutes. How? I don't know. Go figure it out. It's exactly what I did. And that level of skill taught me that if you say something a certain way, something can happen. You guys ever experienced that? You write something, even if you say something a certain way, you get a response in a different way. We're going to talk about those things later. So basically, I found, again, when I was cleaning houses, I must have cleaned 300 to 500 houses that year. I was away from my kids. It was a very interesting time. I want you guys to borrow into that. I know we all go through our struggles. So understand that space, that I hear you, I see you, I feel you. I also know that there's so much more from that space that we can grow from, and not to ever stay there, because the point of life is not to work harder, it's to work smarter. And if there's something in front of you that's going to keep you away from who you are, and it's going to make you work harder, and it's going to put you in a mundane space, those things are not it. It must feel effortless. So one day I went to a metaphysical store, and as soon as I walked in, I felt such immense energy, and there were things that were making contact with me. Another day, another time. And I remember sitting with this guy, and he was telling me, hey, you're going to be a massage therapist, but you're going to take it a lot further. And I looked at him and I'm like, no, that's not possible, because I have nothing in front of me right now. I work as a cleaning lady. I owe money for school. Like, there's no way. I could not see this in my reality. Little did I know, and I didn't realize at the time, that he was actually speaking to the mirrors of my body and who I am. And he was saying, you're a bit psychic too. You should be. I'm like, no. I dabbled, I practiced, I did certain things before this, and we'll talk about those later. And it brought me to this space. So I remember picking up my children's father's sister one day, and I saw the school, and I saw that they offered massage therapy, and I was like, oh my God, I think I can do this. I had this immense rushed feeling when the body knows, you just have to respond. So I picked up the phone and I called the Board of Education. I found out that I didn't know nothing for school. I signed up right then and there. I was like, I'm going for it. Something is telling me to go for it. I told their dad. He laughed at me. Didn't think that I was going to do it. And when the time came, I was told for 11 and a half months that I would fail, that I would never be able to work this out, that I had to figure out being a mom, that being a mom was more important than doing this. And on the other side, I'm like, well, how am I supposed to take care of the children if there's nothing? So I fought tooth and nail, and I stayed every day, and I said, I'm only doing this once. I graduated with flying colors, and I was so happy because I got that piece of paper that said I was done. Did my NBLEX, passed it one time, out of there. Cried because I fought so hard for this. But the real things, when you say yes to an opportunity, look how fast it comes to you. And it will challenge you. And it will rip you apart to bring you anew. Think of the phoenix. It's constantly burning to be emerged again. We have to constantly transmute to be emerging again. You ever hear the old self has to die so the new self can rise? We go through snakeskins more than we know. We just don't peel like that. We shed. Right? So, food for thought. Now, I'm running my business. I'm doing what I can. So many things happen in between. And I find that nothing really changed my life until this day. None of the amount of Reiki, none of the amount of ayahuasca, none of the amount of anything that I did, none of the attunements, none of that brought me to where even when I started massage therapy, I started to get all these abilities coming to me. As soon as I touched the human body, everything came alive. And I said to myself, okay, this is going to be great. This is something else. August 23rd, 2022, around maybe 3:40 in the afternoon. The reason why I know is because I texted somebody right away. I was getting up to take my kids to karate, football. I went to the gym, and I had an appointment that night. I had my whole night scheduled. And as I was laying down for the 30 minutes that I had, the in-between space, because I had just picked the kids up, I shot up, and it was thundering and lightning, and I went to the fridge to grab a smoothie because I was like, I don't have time to eat. So I grabbed it. I'm yelling at the kids, come on, let's go, we're gonna be late. And as soon as I put my left hand on that fridge, I saw like 10 feet away, lightning bolt struck right by my kitchen window. It was about this, it was big. I still remember, and I still remember the illumination of how big it was because my eyes went, oh! And I grabbed it and I said, oh, shh. And before I could even get that out of my mouth, because I remember that was the last thing I said, I grabbed it, and all of that energy hit my left hand all the way up and it hit my heart, and it hit my brain. And I just remember feeling a feeling of explosion, like too much energy. And I just remember I couldn't let go. I had to keep, I was just held on. The charge was just passing through me, didn't go through the ground, nothing. I don't know how long I was holding on for. All I know is that I was screaming. My kids came out of the corner. They're like, Mommy, are you okay? And I just remember looking at them, and I couldn't let go. That's the part that I vaguely remember. The emotional space is bringing that through. And I was thinking to myself, is this the way that I'm going to die? So I was able to let go, and when I let go, I just saw electricity in my fingers. I saw it moving, and I just remember feeling it everywhere in my body, and I remember counting it to maybe like 10,000 B12 shots, just, and I felt whooshed, and I didn't know what to expect. I just remember something coming up to me and saying, distribute this between your kids. That's exactly what I did. So from that day on, I have been cultivating and creating in this space. Because what I've been able to see with the human body, the field of what's around us is a lot more. I am able to see a lot more of what is there in the quantum spaces that exist. And if this is like, I don't understand what the hell that means, there are things that exist in layers. It's not linear. It is not parallel. They coexist together. They mesh together, right? And in these meshes together, we are a part of that. We are localized ecosystems. We can talk about that later because that's not the point of this video. It's understanding that you have this capability that is there, that is just ready to be unlocked. So I'm going to ask you like this. The type of work that I do, if all this did for you was clear your nervous system, give you back that youthful energy that you're looking for, remove the fatigue, the slush, give your body a bounce back that you have never seen before. Because I know a lot of us women, we always go back to where we felt that we looked the greatest, and we always want to go back to that. But that is not where you want to be, because where were you mentally, emotionally, physically, spiritually? All these things got to line up. Yeah, they do. There's a reason why we got 7 chakras, because that's just the basis of the level of energy that we have to learn how to hit. Because they never told us that when you're balancing these chakras and you're balancing in positive and negative, masculine and feminine, a 3rd channel opens up completely. They don't tell you that. So it's so much more than going away into a place and just, I don't know, meditating and taking yourself away. A lot of us are here. A lot of us are active. A lot of us are in certain spaces where we got to use with what we got. So how does this even work? So I'm going to give you guys something small and just something that you can begin with right now. I would like for you to, even if it's just 1 second that you can take for yourself, and you're just maybe standing somewhere, right? Place your hands on the womb space and your heart space. It's almost like this, just like that. And you're just holding yourself. And all I'm saying to myself is, I know who I am. 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 Because feeling that warmth and watching the belly drop up and down, this is the best way to gauge your breath work. Breath work is everything. Breath work saved me. Breath work was the turning point in my career. And we'll talk about those things later. So you're going to hold here. Breathe from your belly, and then you're going to push out. As you push out, you are going to contract the core. So pushing down. Bring it on up. Big, big belly breath. Big, big. And then push it out. In this space alone, you're going to feel lightheaded. You're going to feel all these things. But guess what? You're able to breathe. You're able to transmute. You're going to feel your body get hot. You're going to feel all these things. You're going to feel yourself get uncomfortable. And then all of a sudden, you're going to feel relief. That's transmutation. When you can transmute the body in a way where you're like, oh, this feels amazing. Alrighty, guys, that's my first tip for today. Thank you so much for listening. I absolutely appreciate it. Again, my name is Lalini, quantum healing expert. This is just part 1 of what I'm going to be sharing a lot more. So thank you for your amazing space of being great and it coexisting with me, because we don't age around here, okay? So make sure you like, subscribe, tell all your friends and family, whatever the hell you got to do about sharing this word out. Because who you are, the best version of you, exists now. Not then, now. See ya.